السلام عليكم.
Amin, Assalamu alaikum. How are you? You joined us
Why
now.
was why was I'm just okay? I think I'm back. Okay.
Okay, alhamdulillah, welcome back. Okay, so let's start, inshallah. I'm just trying to see because I've got a. So yeah, inshallah, we'll start, inshallah. So in alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah ma ba'd. So welcome to this meeting. I'm not going to call it a webinar or discussion. I like to have meetings because through interaction, through discussions, can we all learn, inshallah. So I've got a presentation of sorts which needs a lot of improving, subhanAllah. It needs a lot of overhaul, but this is a start, and hopefully somebody can improve upon this at some point, inshallah, who's good with presentations. So let me see if I can bring that on. So, not sure how you. Okay, perhaps not. No, I think I'll stop doing that. Okay, anyway, so we have one more person that's joined us. A quick intro. M. Ghufran. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Just a quick intro. Always giving themselves a quick intro. Perhaps you can give one as well, inshallah. Just who you are.
Oh, myself?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. I'm Gufran. I am working in Tokyo Jami Mosque right now as part-time curator while doing freelance flower design.
MashaAllah.
And I'm working on young Muslim activity in Tokyo these days with Amin and Fatina in this conversation.
Okay, excellent. Alhamdulillah. So, we'll give it a start then, inshallah. So, just a quick intro. I don't know if Amin's told you, but I've been a volunteer with, and I still am, with IERA for quite a few years, alhamdulillah. And as well as IERA, I've also worked with Youth Club, which is this unique Dawah organization based in Islamabad, focusing Dawah to the Muslim youth. So whereas IERA, you could argue, are more for non-Muslims, Youth Club specialize in creative, in effective, in, alhamdulillah, all results from Allah. We convey the call of Allah, we convey the call of Tawheed, but Allah guides whom He wills. But alhamdulillah, we've actually seen a lot of amazing results the last few years. Brother Ghufran, if you could just mute your mic, please.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that's fine. So whenever anybody wants to ask a question or want to say something, please just unmute it, no problem. And jump in whenever you can, inshallah. There's a lot of information. I just want to ask, how long do we have roughly? How long do you want the session to be?
Anytime really. It's honestly up to you and the rest. I'm imagining something. I think you've got Jummah, right? It's a Friday.
Yeah. So okay, so it's 9:15 now. So let's go on to about 10:30, inshallah, which is an hour and 15 minutes. And because I've got a feeling there's a lot, because I actually did the live session like this in Dublin, in Ireland, yesterday with a small team there, and that went on for ages and we only got through 20%. So I've got a feeling there may be a part 2, part 3, inshallah. So I'll do as much as I can within this time. Then we'll have any discussions, Q&A, and verifications, and any clarifications. And then, if needed, if you guys think this is beneficial, we can do another one another time, inshallah, just to make it more organized.
So Perfect. So maybe something in I don't know, like an hour from now, hour to an hour and 15 minets max.
Yeah,
probably.
Hour and 15 minutes from now, inshallah. For now.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's start, inshallah. Okay, so I want to go straight into it. when we see the one of the biggest features of youth club dawah, the youth club style dawah, is that we always target or try and interact with those people who are away from Islam. That's our main kind of target. So, for example, in Islamabad, people see Islamabad, Pakistan, as a Muslim country. But if you're someone involved in the dawah or an activist, you'll see that in cities, in university campuses, the educated elite, they're actually turning away from Islam. There's the shubahat and the shahawat. There's people who have for example, addiction to drugs and pornography, and for example, haram relationships and all those other addictions, and they're just lazy when it comes to deen and that kind of thing. They believe in Allah, but they are lazy in deen. There's those types, and then there's actually those types who are liberal-minded, liberal, secular, even atheists and agnostics. So these actually exist. And of course, when I first heard about this back in 2011, when I lived in Pakistan for a while, it was shocking for me at first that atheists in Pakistan, yes, and now it's like a norm. In fact, there is a statement which we often use in the dawah, that there was a time when scholars and brothers who were involved in the dawah to the youth, they used to use words like, the youth are going away from Islam, or the youth are getting away from Islam, or that kind of thing. Those are the kind of wording. But now I believe that word has been escalated to upgraded to youth are leaving Islam, literally. And at first it was a shock, but it's actually happening, especially in Pakistan and the UK. Now, I live in a town called Crawley. It's a small town. It's not even London. Here we get cases like that because of the social media onslaught of non-Islam, the non-Islamic narrative pushing people through social media and general media and the culture. So the dawah of the West, if you can call it a term, is very strong. And because of that, many people are leaving Islam, and it's not a surprise no more, unfortunately. So you get those, and then you get obviously those with addictions and just laziness. So this is where youth club style has been very effective. Now, some of the presentation I'm going to do today is based upon youth club. It's based upon, alhamdulillah, I've been involved in dawah for the youth since 1995. May Allah accept, on and off. So I learned from other amazing du'at, other amazing brothers and sisters who were very effective in how they used to mentor, how they used to speak to youth, the different ideas. So alhamdulillah, all the observation has culminated in this kind of presentation, inshallah. And I'm going to build upon this even more. So one of the first things is, see, myself and many others, and there's I mentioned somebody mentioned they were reverts. So myself and many others who were born into Muslim families, we were once upon a time non-practicing. We were away from Islam, and may Allah forgive our sins, past sins, but we made tawbah and Allah guided us. But before, we were not practicing. When we become practicing, and this is something you may have seen, when someone leaves a life of jahiliyyah and they start practicing Islam by the fadl of Allah, for some reason or another, they become so judgmental. I mean, rather than understanding why the youth have certain addictions or why they have certain issues in their life, rather than understanding and sympathizing because they also live that life, we want to just point at them and the haram gun comes out, as we call it. So, for example, what are the issues? So I'm using, for example, Valentine's Day as an example. As soon as Valentine's Day is coming nearer, subhanAllah, all the practicing Muslims, especially because of social media, Facebook, you can see the posts will come out. That's haram. Valentine's Day haram. Don't celebrate Valentine's Day. So they're just going all guns blazing. And if you extend that, it's not just Valentine's Day. If someone is, for example, listen to heavy satanic rock music, let's say, or that kind of thing, then we're going to say the same thing. That music's haram, bro. Music haram, sister. What are you doing? It's haram. So we will shout haram all day long. Now, my point is, and this is where youth club have differed from traditional style, is, and again, remember, these are all under means of styles of dawah. There's many means of styles of this, under the mubah. It's under permission of Islam, We're not going everything I'm going to say, inshallah, is from the Quran and Sunnah. And it's from scholars, and it's been verified, alhamdulillah. But these are just means of styles of how you execute the Islamic narrative. So rather than saying, that's haram, that's haram, that's haram, that's haram, you see the psychology behind this is you're literally just making a statement. You're not really inviting, you're not provoking thought, you're not inspiring. You're just basically throwing a fatwa at them. And to be honest, they know it's haram. I'm talking about the youth that are not practicing, who know Allah and investing in Sharia. They know it's haram, but they do it anyway. So you're just telling them, which they already know, first of all. That's number one. Number two, if you're going to start doing the haram style of dawah, then they're gonna take it defensively, because no human being likes to get hurt. No human being likes to be told what to do. And especially if they love Valentine's Day, or they love anything to do with that theme, or love music, or going clubbing or partying. If they love that, it's been a part of their life for the last 10, 15 years. Clubbing, partying, raving. If it's something which they love, then you attacking their love, it's going to bring a defensive mechanism. They're just going to be defending. So we hope that if we say to them, that's haram, we're hoping that, oh, that's haram. Okay, tell me more. No, that doesn't quite happen like that. It may in some circumstances, you telling someone really harshly that's haram may work. Very few examples. Most, in my experience in Pakistan and in UK, wherever, by shouting haram, they're going to get defensive. They're going to defend their position, and there's no dawah. There's no call to Allah. There's no call to tawheed, and no tazkiyat al-nafs, no spirituality, nothing, subhanAllah. So no human being will tolerate an attack on their belief and loves. Yeah, there's a severe lack of empathy, and we always want to have a go at them. Valentine's is this. Astaghfirullah, look at the history of Valentine's Day. Valentine's is haram. That kind of thing. Smoking is haram. Music is haram. Relationships are haram. The haram police. So that, my brothers and sisters, is not dawah. That's just having a rant. That's just having a go at them. That's not going to give any kind of inspiration whatsoever. And you're already just tell them what they already know. So what we want to do is we want to invite. So this is the next point, that rather than making them defensive, so you try and attack them, you tell them a statement which they already know, and they argue back, and they close. Remember, the whole point is to open them up to a discussion. There needs to be a connection between the da'i, the caller, and the person. So rather than shouting haram and that's haram and don't do this and they'll build a wall, yeah, and they'll start ignoring you. They'll even say, yeah, okay, thank you very much, goodbye, on your way, mate. Yeah, okay, thank you, Mr. Maulvi Saab, thank you, Mr. Mullah Saab, whatever. Yeah, that's what happens. So don't do that. Rather, what we should be doing, brothers and sisters, is going to the root cause of the issue. What are the root cause of issues? And it's very simple. The heart and the mind is disconnected from its creator. The heart and the mind is disconnected from Tawheed. They don't have a love of Allah in their mind. They don't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have never made any efforts to know Him or get to know Him. They've not even taught it, subhanAllah. So we need our dawah, we should be calling to discuss not the symptoms, because music and haram relationships and anything that's haram and sinful, these are symptoms of the bigger problem. The bigger problem, the root cause, is a lack of tawheed, is a disconnection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to change our discussions to, rather than saying that's haram, and I'm using a stall kind of situation where campus dawah is a very interesting form of dawah, where we have a stall, we go to university, we put on amazing, really well crafted flyers, and we have a one-to-one conversation with people. We interact with them. So things like, and this is just from experience, and I know it's maybe inshallah when you guys get experience you can try this, but things like, brother, how's your heart? How's your heart, bro? Like, this, subhanAllah, this question, it's actually becoming a trend amongst the brothers now in Islamabad and Karachi and Lahore. So when people meet each other, let's say when you're walking down the street, or you're going to a local store and you bump into someone you've not seen after a long time. And the usual conversation is, oh, how are you? How's it going? And in the UK, I'm not sure what it's like in Japan, but in the UK, after asking how are you, the typical question is, how's work? Are you still working there? But you used to be in that job. Have you left that job? So the whole conversation is a very dry dunya, job-related, career-related conversation, which is not profound, really. Rather than that, we replace the questions like, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. How are you, bro? Alhamdulillah. Bro, how's your heart? How's your heart? That's the kind of conversation we ask. I know at first it'd be like really weird, like you asking an uncle or a cousin or a friend who's not practicing, how's your heart? He goes, there's nothing wrong with my heart, sorry. I don't have any cancer. I don't have any, I went to the medical GP. I'm fully fit. No, the spiritual heart. Because the heart has a spiritual heart. Are there, we all pick up diseases. And that's the question. We all, the wording, it should always be we. Never say you. How's your heart? How's the heart? So then you can say, look, and then if they, so when you ask this question, they may clarify, what do you mean? Then you can say, well, look, bro, like my heart, I'll be honest, it's, I think last month I lied a bit too much. I did too many lies. I can't help it. We always exaggerate and we all speak lies, subhanAllah. May Allah forgive us. And I probably rushed my salah and this. I can identify tasqiyat al-nafs. So what about you, bro? How's it going? So the discussion is about heart, subhanAllah. The discussion is much more profound about identify the disease of the heart and how to remove them. So that's what the brothers and the sisters are doing in Pakistan, and this is what I'm trying to inculcate in the teams around the world and youth dawah. That don't discuss about politics or sects or fiqh or that kind of thing, which comes in later and another in a different situation. In this situation, speak about the heart, speak about the salah and that kind of thing. So if you, and the whole point of the dawah is, and this is the root of the dawah, this is the core of the dawah, rather than just giving fatwa and just telling everyone that's haram, which honestly, in UK especially, amongst the practicing Muslims, and in Pakistan, and I'm speaking of both of these countries because I've had extensive experience. When the practicing Muslim, whether they're alim, whether student knowledge, whether it's from madrasa, whatever, when they see the Muslim youth who are not practicing, their dawah is only confined to just telling them things are haram. That's their dawah. Or do a course and hope for the best. That's what's happening. They'll have a course and poster and they'll hope maybe someone non-practicing might come. Or if they see someone non-practicing, they'll just say, don't do that, don't do this, that's haram, that's haram, that's haram, that's haram. And that's not very effective at all in our experience. So what we need to do is say to them, look, the reason why we sin, this is your gist of your conversation, the reason why we sin is because we are not obedient to our Creator, we are not obedient to Allah. And the reason why there's a lack of obedience and disobedience is because we don't know Allah. We have not got to know the nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? If we were to get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we knew that, as Tawheed, that He is one and He deserves praise and worship, if we know this, then we will naturally want to love the Creator. We will instill a love of the Creator. And when we love the Creator, when we love Allah, then obedience comes easily. It comes naturally. It's easier to obey something, when you have a strong, passionate love for it. So that's the gist of our conversation. That is the core of our call. So this is what I'm trying to say so far. Do we have any clarification? Because there's a lot of information to take in. Any questions at this point, or are you guys with me so far?
I personally think we're all with you, brother. I think the discussion that we've had about, not going out as haram police is and, shooting the haram gun at everyone. That's something I think us Muslims in Japan do recognize as well. And also the fact that, we're supposed to just do the actions without the fundamental love that we're supposed to inculcate in them. So I think we're all together. If anyone wants to question, I think now's the time, or maybe you can continue, inshallah.
Okay, yes. If anybody wants to just quickly ask anything or clarify something, inshallah. Otherwise, we can continue. Okay, I'll continue, no problem. So don't be the don't guy. By the way, what I'll do, I'll send this presentation afterwards, so that you can understand it, inshallah. So don't be the don't guy. So again, just to continue, just to drive the point home, and I'm glad that you said that this is something which is not in Japanese culture yet, alhamdulillah, and it won't be, that you are much more welcoming and rather than just haram police style kind of vibe. That's good, mashallah. But just to emphasize the point, so we don't want to, again, our dawah is not, don't DM her, don't send her a direct message Instagram, don't go to that party, don't go to that concert, don't play the guitar. Stop condemning, provoke thought. Don't be the don't guy, or don't be the don't girl. Yeah, we are du'at, we are calling to Allah. We're calling to Allah, His oneness, and that He deserves praise and worship. That's what we want to do. So just to emphasize that point, inshallah. Now, rapport building. This is when it gets really interesting. So I'm gonna give this case scenario. I'm going to use campus dawah as a scenario. So in Pakistan, alhamdulillah, through well-crafted marketing, through well-crafted maneuvering, we have entered into many prominent universities, whereas other jama'as, other practicing Muslims groups, they can never gain an entry. And these are universities that are very kind of secular, they're not really religious, and they're just, there's a lot of non-practicing crowd and concerts and vibes that kind of going on. This is happening in Pakistan, by the way, and people get surprised, but it exists. It's happening in the Muslim world. So, if me or my team, we have a stall, a dawah table, and the reason why I keep talking about dawah table, brothers and sisters, because dawah table is one of the best ways of interaction with the public. It's a very nice platform. I always like it. You can either have a lecture in a mosque or a madrasa or a center, make a poster and hope for the best and people to come in. But what we do is we take the dawah to them. Where are the youth? Where do they hang out? They're in the markets, they're outside this, they're at the universities and colleges. So we want to take the dawah to them. And one of the things I'm always pushing is we need to always take the dawah to them. We need to be in the offensive rather than wait for them to come to you. So dawah store at a university. So there's a university called FAST. It's a funny name, I know. FAST NU in Islamabad. It's a computer IT expertise kind of, although they teach other courses, but they specialize in IT. So there we have a table. Now, I'm standing at the table, and obviously this university, from experience, from knowledge, is non-practicing mostly, right? And I've got colleagues, brothers, and there's also a sisters table as well, alhamdulillah. So we don't judge in principle. Like in principle, of course, we don't judge, only Allah judges, yeah? We're not judgmental nature. But for the sake of dawah, for the sake of speaking to the right people, because we also have this policy that I have anyway, especially, I don't specifically want to engage in a conversation with someone who's already wearing a hijab or a niqab, or someone who's got a beard, who looks practicing. Because more often than not, you're going to turn into a sectarian discussion. And it's whereas our target, our focus is the non-practicing youth. So when I'm in these type of tables at universities, I'm always scanning around, and I'm always going to pick on someone who looks, and obviously I'm not telling them that, but in my mind, who looks non-practicing. Again, I know it's being judgmental. So in principle, we don't judge, but from a dawah point of view, we have to judge in order to speak to the right people. So let's say someone's wearing an AC/DC t-shirt, yeah, heavy metal, Metallica, whatever, and they got an earring on, obviously they're clean shaven, and or someone's not hijabi and not modest clothing. Obviously, I'm being very careful how I say this and sensitive, but someone who's apparent not practicing. So let's say they come to the table. When they come to the table, or even because I've done street fundraising with UNICEF and Red Cross in London, that confident nature comes in. I can stop people who don't pass. I always call them over, that kind of thing. But that's active dawah. So this is someone who comes to the table who visibly looks non-practicing. So because they saw your really cool flyer, they saw a really cool banner, and they're very curious. And this is what happens in Pakistan. So they come to the table. One thing you need to do is compliment them. Compliment what they're wearing. Because if you think about it, a lot of brothers and sisters, everyone really, but especially non-practicing, they can spend a long time in front of the mirror to come to college or university. They're gonna wear the specific clothing, and although they say, yeah, I'm doing this for myself, really they're not. Everyone craves for attention. In this day and age, everyone's craving for attention, especially social media. It's all about attention. So if they're craving attention, we will give them that for the sake of a bigger purpose. So they come to the table, you compliment them. So it could be like, that's a really cool t-shirt, bro. Or that's a very, a sister, they say that a sister to a sister, by the way, and a brother to a brother, a sister to a sister can say, you've got very nice eyes, or I like your hijab, if they're wearing hijab and all, but, whatever, just find something and compliment it. That's a very nice coat, that's a very nice jacket, that's a very stylish jacket. Obviously me, because of experience, I go in a bit too much. I'll say, that is an absolutely banging jacket, bro. Wow. I mean, where'd you get it from? That's because I like jackets. I can appreciate denim jackets, leather jackets, that kind of thing. So do that. When you say that, when you compliment them, First of all, everybody loves compliments, so you've won their heart now. Now they're willing to listen to you, yeah, because you compliment them. Everybody loves compliments. You compliment them, and plus now they want to speak to you, and it also breaks the ice very nicely, yeah. So rather than, as opposed to they come to the table and you being very formal, yes, my name is Nadeem, I am trying to be a religious practicing person, and I want to talk to you about namaz and salah. That for me is very boring. You've turned up, you switched them off. Remember, we're talking about effective techniques that worked, and for them to actually get to listen to you. So compliments always work. Give them a compliment. In street dawah, campus dawah, one-to-one dawah, cafe dawah. So let's say someone who's non-practicing has come out to reach out to you. Before you start speaking, it has to be a very I believe that the whole conversation has to be informal. Informal at the beginning, all this fun stuff has to be beginning. Towards the end of the conversation, you're 10 minutes, 50 minutes, obviously it becomes serious. The dawah is serious. Before someone objects, to when I say that, people go, but brother, dawah is serious issues. Yes, we talk about the purpose of life, and Allah, and accountability, and the day of judgment, and death, and Jannah and Nar. Yes, of course. But to get to that stage, we need to create the mindset. We need to create an atmosphere. If you just somebody non-practicing comes to the stall, and straight away you're going to give quotes about Surah Qiyamah or about Day of Judgment or about Jahannam, they're going to switch off from experience. They're going to switch off. Yes, some very few will actually be inspired by that, but mostly won't. They'll switch off. They just want to go away. You got to win their heart. You got to win them over first. When you won them over through compliments and rapport building and get to know, when you won them over, then you can give your main dive. So you start with fun, and then you take them to seriousness later. That is the style, inshallah. So give them compliments, because people crave attention. Banter. In the UK, we have this word called banter. I don't know if you've heard of this word. So banter is like, and this is my style, and again, other brothers in Pakistan who are very confident they do this, and in the UK, some brothers, mashallah, is it's got to be a very humorous situation. So I'll give you an example. A group of non-practicing people come to the stall, and this happens regularly, especially the universities we go to. They saw our stall, they have some time between lessons, and they've seen it. They come over and they will say, so what are you guys doing? What is this all about? Because our name Youth Club, it doesn't, Youth Club, it doesn't give the impression that we're an Islamic dawah organization. There's no Islamic in it, there's no dawah in it, it's just Youth Club. Very generic, right? They come over and they ask, what is this? What are you guys doing? Ya aap log kya kar rahe hain? In Urdu, I'm just saying Urdu. Ye log, aap log kya kar rahe hain? What are you doing? So other brothers, and I used to do this, I used to be a very formal introduction. Yes, my name is Nadeem, and I work for you. I'm a senior operations manager for Youth Club, and we are trying to inspire positive change. We believe if you change yourself, you will change the world. And with Islam down, for me, that's a very boring, formal introduction. And straight away they're going to think, oh, you lot are mullahs. Oh, you lot are like, whatever, from the madrasa or whatever, whichever the image they have of Muslims. They see their image is practicing Muslims are boring, they're aggressive, and they're always serious. And they don't know how to have fun. This is the image we're going to break. This is one of the key pieces of Youth Club we're trying to break. That you can be practicing and have fun. You can be practicing and not be boring. You can be practicing and not always be serious and always angry. Yeah? So now I changed it. When they come to the stall and they ask, so what are you guys doing? What are you all about? I joke. For example, it's a very crude example. Forgive me. It's like, well, we are human beings. This is a table. There's flyers on it, and we are talking. Some of them get it. Some of them start laughing. Others think, what? What's this? What? Then I actually explain the joke. Obviously, I'm just joking, bro. Or I just say, basically, I'm here to have the best conversation of your life. We're gonna inshallah have the best conversation ever, the most profound conversation, which is a dawah conversation. The best of conversations are dawah conversations. Yeah, literally, we are speaking about heavens and earth and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they are the best conversations. So there has to be banter. So compliment them, and there needs to be banter. It can't be formal. Yeah, this works. Again, this is all for them to win them over. You as a da'i, or you as a caller to Islam, you're the one who wants to inspire this youth. You have to tell something crazy about yourself, or be really random. Again, this really works because people like to see someone unique. So let's say you are non-practicing. Pick out something from your non-practicing life that was really interesting. I don't know, you had a crazy car race one day. Tokyo. Maybe you guys did Tokyo drifting. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Yeah. Or sisters, maybe you're a crazy horse rider. Because in Pakistan, I remember I asked a hijabi sister. She was non-practicing, and Allah guided her. I said, when you're non-practicing, without giving me details, obviously, what anything crazy you did? She goes, yeah, I used to love ride horses, so I used to jump from one horse to another. And that's a crazy fact. I mean, a hijabi sister doing that, it just, what, So if you share this, again, it breaks down images in their mind that, oh my God, this is a hijabi, but she used to be a crazy horse rider. What's that? So think about something, tell them at the beginning when you're speaking to them, rather than give a formal, like my name is Nadeem, or my name is Amin, and I'm studying at this, falah, and I do this, and academic. This is not an interview. You're not selling your CV here. Yeah, you're selling yourself, which means they need to be impressed by you. Yeah, so all this complimenting, banter, tell them something crazy or be random is all to sell yourself. When they bought it, now they'll buy your dawah, inshallah. So get them to trust you. They need to feel relatable. Yeah. So let's say, once upon a time, you know Tupac and that kind of thing, but that'll come in later. Okay. So listen to their intro as well. Yeah. So when you told them about yourself and you've broken the ice and you've been very informal and very loving and very nice and very cool. Once you've done that, you need to listen to them. Now this is very important. We ask du'at. Remember, again, using a campus dawah or even one-to-one dawah, just you and the other person, or whichever situation, we have to do more listening. We have to have active listening. Active listening is like so you tell them about yourself. Now you ask them, so what do you do? And what's your favorite? What kind of activity do you do? Actually have a listen, because us practicing brothers or du'at, we want to preach straight away. We want to give them a lecture, but it's not a lecture, it's a conversation. Lecture comes later when you want to bring them to an event. I'm talking in the realm of one-to-one dawah, in a realm of street dawah, campus dawah. So you have to have active listening, where you ask the question. When they talk about themselves, active listening is you summarize what they say. Oh, so you do this and you do that and you do this. That's really interesting. That's really cool. Wow, that shows that you're very clever or very creative. So if you do this, they will love this. So once you listen to them actively, number one, they will appreciate that. And number two, you will learn about them. And when you learn about them, you can give your dawah accordingly. That's very important, inshallah. So, because, we like to talk. We don't like to listen. So, just you continue with the campus dawah situation. And remember, this campus dawah situation which I'm presenting to you, you can use this in all your situations of life. Whether it's your cousins and your family, whether it's a stall at a conference, whether it's any situation. Just I'm using this example, but take the concept from it. Learn the concept from it, inshallah. So, let's say a typical conversation with me, I've got to know them, I've built rapport, there's banter, I compliment them, I'll tell them crazy about myself, they tell me things about them. Once all that is done, then I maybe talk about youth club. It's a good conversation builder. But then I just have a general reminder. So basically, bro or sister, we're here to, discuss the purpose of life, because a lot of us have lost our purpose of life. This comes in after. This comes in after the banter, the complimenting. This comes in after. This is your bulk of your middle bit of the conversation. Yeah. So the beginning, banter, compliments, all that. The middle bit is now why we're here now. So we're here to discuss the purpose. Purpose of life is a very good starter. It's very generic. So what's your purpose of life? And they say my purpose of life is to please my parents or get studies or make money, whatever, the usual. But you say, okay, that's interesting. Well, what we're trying to remind everyone here in this university and beyond, the purpose of life is actually higher and much more profound, which is that we're here on planet Earth to worship Allah. That was the whole point. It doesn't mean bow down to the ground all day long. Worship is very whole. It's living your life according to your Creator. It's submitting to your Creator. We're always, things like we're all looking for freedom. We're looking for freedom, liberation, that kind of thing. But true liberation and freedom can only be done in submission to the Creator. Otherwise, if you're not submitting to the Creator, you're going to submit to your desires. So either way, you're a slave. So rather than be a slave to your desires, be a slave to Allah. So these are your very general, not too long, maybe a few ayahs and hadith, which because now they'll listen now, because you've had a good start. When you've done all that, the ending is this. And this ending, It has to be very important. And reason why, and I'm going to give it used to happen. Let's say I've done all that and I've spoken to someone non-practicing. They will agree with everything you say. They say, oh, okay. Now from experience, from my intuition, I know this person I'm chatting to has got a lot of issues. Whether it's atheistic doubts, yeah, shubahat, doubts about Allah, whether it's addiction to drugs or pornography or whatever, they've got this, but they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to open up to you like that. You're just a stranger. So when I used to say this and I used to advise them, and then they would just go away, and that's it. And then the brothers used to get together after the stall and say, look, how was the stall? And they used to review it. And that was so good. I had 10 conversations. I had 5 conversations, whatever, after 3-4 hours. The thing is, I used to always think, yeah, but I don't think I connected. There's still something missing. It was just a nice conversation, even though I had the banter and that kind of thing. So notice the reason why is because they're still not opening up. And one of the things for them to open up to is the following sequence which I adopted. So just to quickly summarize the whole conversation, and then I'll give you the ending, which will really open them up. You've done the banter. You complimented them. You've given your introduction. You've told crazy stories about yourself. You've got to know them, academics, what they do, what their loves are, etc. And then you've given the quick reminder about personal life and why we're on earth and who should we worship. You've done all that. Now the conversation about to end, the ending bit. When they're about to go, I see, and usually in Pakistan, what happens is a stall situation escalates from one-to-one to a group of students. It always happens, yeah? So, like, you're supposed to be one conversation, or you and 2 other people, or 3 other people, but it escalates. Before they go away, I always say this. Listen, guys, before you go off after our wonderful conversation, don't forget, and let me tell you this, we're here for you. We're here to give you advice and nasiha. We're not here to judge you. Who are we to judge you? Not at all. Because there was a time we lived a life of sin ourselves. Like, we lived a life of sin, and Allah guided us. And we can relate to all the issues that our youth are going through right now. The questions, the things they love, all that kind of thing. And the helpless feeling lost, all that. So we can absolutely understand that, because we were not, I wasn't born with a beard. There was a time when I was completely away from Islam. May Allah forgive my sins. So we can completely understand the issues of youth. We're here to offer you advice and answer any questions you have. And literally you can ask, this is your chance to ask any question, bro. Literally, no matter how weird, how strange, how filthy, how dark, how disgusting, how stupid, how dumb. No, we will not judge you. This is your chance. I don't know your mother. I don't know your aunt, your uncle. I've just met you, you're a stranger to me. So I can't tell them, even if you tell me, your son or daughter's doing this, your son has asked this. No, I don't know them. This is a good chance. You're going to be gone, you're going to be your way, my way, unless you want to connect, obviously, through Facebook, whatever. But I don't know your family. I won't tell them. I'm here as your older brother, older sister, as your friend. So this is your chance to ask any question you want. We're here to offer you counseling, not therapy. When I drop this counseling line, brothers and sisters, when I drop that line, I can tell from their eyes are lit up. Remember, you've got to know them at the beginning, you're rapport building, you've not judged them, you've told them your crazy stories, they think you're cool, all that. Then at the end, when you're done, their eyes light up. So far, they've just been nodding and nice and that. When I say this word, we're here to offer you counseling, not therapy, just counsel from the heart. We're not here to get your vote. We don't have a deep agenda. We're not from a political party. We're not from a sect. We're not calling to you a group. We're just here to give you nasiha. When I say the counseling, then they all say, yeah, I've got a question. Then they all open up, subhanAllah. This happens again and again and again. And they can either ask in front of everyone or one-to-one, and mostly say privately. So they say, yeah, Nadeem, bhai, or brother Nadeem, I have a question. And then it all comes out. All that conversation at the beginning, they agreed with me about worship Allah. They agreed with that. Assalamu alaikum, mashallah, subhanallah. Very nicey conversation. But now we've got to the crux of the issues. This is when they ask, yeah, you know what, I was reading this Stephen Hawking's or Richard Dawkins book or whatever, Lawrence Krauss book, and I don't know if God exists, or is the Quran word of Allah, or I read about the Prophet Muhammad, is this true, this and that. Or is this true in Islam? And I'm not. So all those come out. Oh, I've got this issue. I've got this relationship. I'm trying to get out of that. That's when the real dawah happens. Now real dawah happens. At the beginning, it was all niceties. So just to really summarize, we're here for you. We're not here to offer you nasiha. We also used to be, or I don't want to say also because now you're kind of judging, but once upon a time, we were non-practicing. Once upon a time, we used to do clubbing and music and our relationships. And we used to all do that. So we understand what the youth love. Yeah, we're not here for a political party. We're not here to get your vote. Because a lot of the groups, they always call into their group. Join my group, join my Jama'ah. Youth club, we don't do that. Although we are organization, we don't say, look, we say, look, stop. We just encourage them to stop the sinning and connect with Allah and seek knowledge. That's it. And work on your heart and work on your ibadah. So this is your chance to ask any question, no matter how weird, how strange, how crazy, how filthy, how disgusting, how ridiculous. This is your chance to ask a question. And we're here to offer counseling and nasiha. So you want to chat, let's go on the side. And then you have a really profound, deep conversation. So this is what I'm trying to tell all teams around the world to adopt this style, inshallah, because it's really worked really well, alhamdulillah. Okay, so any questions on that so far? Did you guys understand that, inshallah?
Jazakallah khair. Is it okay if I ask you the question now, or is it better that we ask the questions when the whole session's ended?
No, ask now, inshallah. Otherwise it's become more of a lecture, and I want it to be interactive.
Right. Okay, so I'll start off with myself. Two questions, actually. So, I mean, it's really beneficial, you know, this whole sequence of how to talk to them. And one of the procedures, we're supposed to talk about our past, right? When we used to not be so practicing. I was given like a general advice by one of the student of knowledge here to, because I mean, I have a bit of an extreme jahil past, right? I have a bit of an extreme
Same here,
version
bro.
of
High
it.
five. Allah forgive us.
Astaghfirullah.
I can understand you, bro. I can understand you. I know where you're coming from. Anyway, sorry, I know what you're saying.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. So the point is, so I used to show my pictures, right, or a specific picture that used to kind of depict what I used to do in the past, and I was advised not to do that anymore. And you know, you mentioned in the beginning of the lecture that your approach is validated by scholars and whatnot. So is there like a limit to what we're supposed to talk about of our past, or you know, are we not supposed to go into the details of what sin we committed, or how do you go about this thing? So that's my first question.
Let me answer this, and then you can do your second question, inshallah, bro.
Okay.
So in regards to this, of course, I'm not going to give fatwa or anything because I'm not student knowledge or nothing, but we, like you just said, alluded to, we make it very general. And we don't say, I use the word we. So like I'm representing, because I know the brothers and I know what they've been through, they told us stuff, but so we used to do this. So rather I used to do this, first of all. And number two, no details, just general. So, you know, we used to party, we used to listen to Tupac, we used to, be players, and many girls, and raving and smoking, speed. And I use the word like, you know, heroin and crack and speed and spliff and, you know, all these words, the street word then for drugs. So we used to use those. So we used to do that. So that keeps it very general. You're not saying you specifically. So it's very general. Number two, so in terms of like, for example, when I said the scholars validated, an example of that is if you look at Brother Raja Ziaul Haq, who is the CEO of Youth Club, and he had a really crazy past as well, living in Islamabad. He had a really crazy past. And he's got this intro video. Now he's done it very cleverly. He says that if you look at the pictures, the video is very interesting, by the way, and I'll share it with you guys if you remind me, inshallah, afterwards. It's like a 5-6 minute video with nasheeds, and it shows how he used to be and selected pictures, and then he changed. Selected pictures that he showed that very general, which showed that he wasn't had a beard, and there's like I think he was he jumped off a cliff in South Africa, one of the tallest buildings. So he's an adventure lover. But you know, he told her that, you know, he used to be people who used to club, raving and drinking and all that. But obviously he doesn't show us pictures of him drinking, of him with a girl, of him, you know, he doesn't, just general. Like also, like he was in Pakistan, but he went to UK. So he'll show pictures of him in the UK, in London, you know, not having a beard, that kind of thing. So very general. And he's this, Raja Zia, he's a student of Dr. Fazl Allahi. Dr. Fazl Allahi is one of the famous, he's the brother of the famous scholar called Alam Alama Ihsan Ilahi Zahir, Shaheed, inshallah, because he was Sheikh Ibn Baz's student. And he was one of the biggest students of Pakistan. So he's his expertise in the Quran. He's very strict, bro. Like, he's so strict, he doesn't even allow videos or pictures. Yeah, there's no picture. That's why his profile is very low. So he's a proper scholar. He wrote a booklet called in Urdu, but it's in English translation will be how to give dawah, who to give dawah, where to give dawah, when, where, how, what, why, everything. And there's even a section he wrote in this booklet. It says it's called the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba doing street dawah, and he's giving Sahih narration. So he's a very strict on knowledge. He knows what Ziyabai is like. He knows what Ziyabai does. Ziyabai consults him. He's a direct scholar. So someone strict like him, and Ziyabai shares everything with him, it just shows me that there is ijaza in this. So make it general. Don't be specific. Don't give details. Like, I was with this girl on Friday, the 2010, and then we went to hotel, this stuff. You don't give the details. Just very general. We used to be like. So if you say we, it kind of covers it. So you're not saying you. The other thing I was thinking, and this needs to be verified, inshallah, maybe someone can, is that there's a tradition that the Prophet and the Sahaba, after Fajr Salah, they used to actually sit around. And this is when the Prophet used to say, tell me something funny. It was very light. He used to have this light situation. I remember Raja Zia, he told us this narration. And this is when the Sahaba used to talk about the Jahiliyyah. How silly, how stupid were we? We used to do this, we used to do that. So they used to share it. They used to actually share it, not even for dawah reasons. They shared it for a laugh. Because they went through a very serious life of dawah and fighting and everything. But this is where the Prophet said, tell me any crazy, has anyone any crazy dreams and this and that. And then they used to talk about dreams, and they used to tell them about their past. So that's a narration to show that we can do this. So I don't know if that kind of answers your...
Yeah, it totally does. Jazakallah khair. So the next question was when the real dawah begins. So all of the banter and everything's done with. And now they've started to ask the questions. I do believe that they will start asking very controversial questions that is extremely difficult to answer. So does this mean that we're supposed to be prepared for all these controversial questions, or is there like a general principle?
When you say controversial, what do you mean, bro?
Well, I mean, for example, for example, people might start asking about the age of Aisha. Why did the Prophet ﷺ marry Aisha in such a young age? Like we got to be very creative with the answers we give.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, look, first of all, the principle in Islam is you stick to what you know. Yeah, you only stick to what you know. So whichever question they ask, if you don't know, don't blag it, don't wing it. It's haram to. There's severe ayahs talking about you should lie upon the deen of Allah. So you only answer what you know. Number two, because you connected with them. If you come to a stage where now you've said the word, you've dropped the word counseling, and their eyes are lit up, and now they've asked you questions, what that means is that you've built a trust now. There's a connection. They trust you enough to ask you this. They trust you. They're impressed by you. They trust you. They want to connect with you. If you don't know the question, because they trust you, they'll now hopefully trust you enough to go to a scholar, or for you to get back to them. Either a YouTube clip or you ask your scholars who knowledge to get back to them. That's number one. But never blag it. And literally, if you say I don't know, and we do this in IRDAO training in level 1, where if someone on the streets, and this is a London situation, non-Muslims, if they have a question about a deep theological question about Islam or Aqidah or Allah or Sharia, rather than you try and say, basically, so I think, no, you say, I don't know. Say it very confidently. And they may think, oh my God, what's the point of you being here then if you don't know? They may give you this reaction, and they may walk away with disgust. But from experience, you saying I don't know is actually a very profound situation, because they hopefully will see the sincerity in you. The non-Muslim, when they walk away, they think that actually that Muslim, I rate him, I respect him because he had the humility and the nobleness to admit he doesn't know. But so what we say, and there's plenty of time for us, we don't have questions. When that happens, say, look, I don't know, but I can find out for someone who does know, because the Quranic injunction asks those who know. Yeah. So I can get back to you through email, through Instagram, Facebook. The spin-off of this, the bonus thing is now you connect with this person even more now. And remember, so that's one thing. Number two, we have again this. Maybe we can do this another training. This is a complete separate training, which is the GORAP training, level 1. and in the initiation, and I'm just going to go for it very, very briefly because it's a whole topic in itself, which is basically if anyone does come with a question about the age of Aisha or the apostasy or the famous 15, 20 typical cliched controversial questions about Islam, yeah, polygamy, this and that, we always say this: that's a very good question. I commend you for asking this question because most people just want to attack and they don't ask. So thank you very much for the question. But John, Peter, Sally, Sarah, whoever you are, in order for you to profoundly understand the answer to your question, to get a comprehensive answer, you need to first understand the foundations of Islam, the rational foundation of Islam based on common sense. Do you have 10 minutes? Or let me buy you a coffee, or let's meet up another day. And then we talk about the foundation of Islam, which is Go-Rap, which is God's existence, oneness of Allah, revelation, prophethood. We believe that if people understand that, non-Muslims and non-practicing Muslims, and this is very good you brought this question up, bro, because it reminded me that Go-Rap, which I need to add to the slide actually, Go-Rap, which is for non-Muslims, can actually be just as effective for Muslims, because it is a profound conversation. If you understand that Allah absolutely definitely exists, and He is one in nature, and He is all wise, and He's all powerful, and He has wisdom that we can't fully fathom the wisdom, which covers the problem of evil. If you understand that, if the person you speak to understands that, then of course we hear and we obey. And a lot of these questions will be completely sidelined. The other approach is actually trying to theologically justify the marriage of Aisha. But from my experience, and there's many styles, that's going to cause more questions than answers. Even if you give the best academic references about the answer, you give all the scholarly answers, you give them history, you even tell them that in the United States, blah blah blah, in this state they still have that and all that kind of thing. You talk about that the conditions at that time used to be when young girls used to marry, all that, and you know, Aisha radiallahu anha, she was the most amazing scholar of Islam, and you know, the wisdom is she at a young age she saw the Prophet intimately, and all those laws have now come to us. Even if you get that the most beautifully articulate way, the person you speak to, you know what's going to happen? They're going to give you, oh, okay, what about this? And then you give a whole answer about apostasy, why we do the apostasy, and the Jewish tribe they got rid of in Mecca and Medina. You give a profound academic, amazing references, Zakir Naik style, you know, in Quran this and chapter number 1. You give all that, they're going to say, okay, what about this? So they're going to keep jumping from one issue to another. And just like I said at the beginning of this, the core issue is a lack of appreciation, lack of recognition of Allah, knowing Allah, loving Allah, obeying Allah. That's the key thing for Muslims and non-Muslims. So I hope you got that, bro.
Jazakallah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Anyone else to end from what I've said so far? I can't remember the names of other people, but or any comments?
I wanted to ask a question, but Amin already asked.
Oh, alhamdulillah.
And you already answered, so I think it's fine. And I think it's really important. Like you said, I think it's really, really important to be creative and to be kind of random. And sometimes you have to be foolish, not only being serious, to approach people, because that's what actually we're doing here, and we try to do. So I think I really agree what you said.
Okay, alhamdulillah, excellent, mashallah. Okay, I'll continue then, inshallah. So so now we come to like events. So this could be some tips which have worked in Pakistan when it comes to halakas and lectures and workshops. So we believe that for the perfect halakha to be very effective, and if it's for the youth, then you need to include always food like pizza and refreshments, because free food, free refreshments always works. And I think this is probably everyone knows that anyway. But when you are giving refreshments, try and be unique. Don't, like in Pakistan, we have the biryani, yeah, or the halwa, which is the sweet dish. Don't be typical, because that's what's expected from non-practicing people. The pita bread, the curry, and the rice. why not be creative? Why not offer something like, for example, an Icelandic delicacy, like an Icelandic type of cheese from Iceland. Imagine Iceland, Iceland snacks, or Nicaraguan, which is South American tea, a unique tea, a fusion of coffee or something, or something from Africa like Ghanaian, a Ghana sweet dish. And if you did every single event, you had a different, unique, because we always think that's typical, like it has to be this food and that food. But mashallah, there's a massive planet out there, and there's so many countries and cultures out there. And why we always just stick to one cuisine? So rather than just Japanese and I think you guys have obviously fish as your main diet. I think I'm just being judgmental here. Apologize. Think outside the box. Make something, because people like to see something different. So on your poster, flower lecture on youth issues, discussion, whatever, and free snacks. Ghanaian, come and check out a Ghanaian or South African tea, or Bolivian coffee, or whatever. I mean, this is where you guys as a team can be creative and get hold of it and make it, inshallah. If it's for an event for younger people, a halakha or an event, always have the option of playing the PlayStation or Xbox or something. And I think in Japan, you guys are big on this anyway. Again, I'm being judgmental, sorry about this, but have that as an option, because they need to see that practicing Muslims also have fun. And this is allowed, this is mubah, as long as you're not playing anything which has swearing and obviously vulgar images. But FIFA or something, I'm a big FIFA fan, So tell them that. Again, if you have this, it's breaking down images in their head of these. You can be practicing and you can be cool and have fun. Yeah. Duration period of lectures, events, if it's a halakha or even a lecture, it has to be around 20-25 minutes. This is again from a Pakistan perspective in the UK, for the youth, 16 plus, 16, 25, especially in this day and age, the attention span is gone. They get bored very easily. The lecture has to be very, very amazing anyway, but 20 to 25 minutes. And then have a stop, and if you are having 2 lectures, there needs to be a gap, and then the second lecture starts, or something like that. So if it's a halakha, or if it's, for example, what we used to do in Pakistan is, rather than an event and waiting for people to come, we used to go where the youth are. And in Pakistan, for example, in the UK, in London, in my town, the youth are in football pitches. On a Friday night or Saturday night, there's these football areas, and they go there. Loads of youth come, and we go there. We mix with them, we play football with them, and sometimes we sit down and have a chat with them. In Pakistan, it's cricket. They love cricket. So we would go to all those different places where there's masses of youth playing cricket all day long, or in the afternoon, whatever. We go there, we play cricket with them. We sometimes challenge them as a team. And then we say, guys, can we just have a quick chat, have a huddle? So we, mashallah, or they find it weird. I was going around, we're playing cricket. But 5-minute, 10-minute, powerful reminder about their judgment. Brothers and sisters, is life just a game? It's good to play cricket. It's good to have fun. It's clean. It's allowed. It may even make you physically fit if you're a fast bowler. It has to be funny. But is this what life's all about? Is there a bigger purpose? And I know we're all Muslims, but let's not neglect our salah. It's going to be Maghrib in about 10 minutes. Let's go and pray Maghrib. And mashallah, we used to take them with us and pray salah. That used to work beautifully, mashallah. When you're designing a poster, and then this is where Youth Club have really come into fruition, one of the biggest features of its success. And I'll really ask everyone on this who are attending this session is please make it as part of your homework after the session to study the Youth Club Facebook page. I'll give you the link, or Brother Amin can give you the link if I haven't already. Study it, not just have a look. Actually study all the posters. So you go to the Youth Club page, go to photos or events, and just scroll down, and you will see the kind of posters we do. It's well thought out. It's not just a quick poster. It's one of the best designs, mashallah. And when we design, as Raja Zia says, he says, think Hollywood. Think Hollywood. What he means by that is, so this is the example, right? Let's say a youth has got Sunday afternoon free, and he wants to go somewhere. Now, let's say he's walking down the road, let's say university or college or something, or I don't know, whatever. And he sees 2 posters. 2 posters. On the right is an Islamic event, on the left is a non-Islamic event. The non-Islamic event is basically a rave. is a latest Bollywood or Hollywood movie. And if you look at the posters for Hollywood movies, like it's fantasy, it's space, it's creative, the font's bright, this, that, the other. So obviously it's bedazzled. On the Islamic side, plain black and white thing, lecture after Isha, 9 p.m. date. If you a youth who is not practicing, what is he going to be appealed to come to? The bright, amazing, well thought out, well designed, really cool looking Hollywood movie or rave or whatever, or a plain lecture after Isha. Think about it. What's he going to be more drawn to? Of course he's going to be drawn to the Hollywood one. This is their dawah. This is their dawah. Hollywood, Bollywood, MTV, concert. This is they're doing their dawah, and this is their posters. Our posters, subhanAllah, the Muslim world in Pakistan, it's so low, it's like ridiculous, it's so boring, it's dull. So if you look at our posters, you think, like our most famous one is Love Struck, and I'll probably discuss the Love Struck story in a minute, but if we have time, it's subhanAllah, it's very appealing, mashallah. So when people see, they get curious and they get interested and they want to come. So be very, very creative when designing a poster. And when it comes to the event, always have a brainstorming session. So let's say you want an event, a lecture for the youth. Don't just do the typical intro, a presenter, a lecturer, and maybe a Q&A, and that's it. Be creative, add something to the event. Maybe have a little play at the beginning, a skit that 3-4 brothers and sisters can do, or use multimedia, or get a spoken word artist, or something, but always have something different. Each event, you organize the event, you organize a lecture, but say, okay, how can we make this more creative? How can we, make it really interesting? Yeah. So for example, in Pakistan, when we had these amazing big workshops like jinns and black magic, one of our biggest workshops, or Love Struck, or there's one, it's Urdu word, it's called Kabula, which means I accept, which is to do with family and marriages. Or, for example, the fun theory, which is all the fun you can have, the ideas of fun in Islam. If you look at the decor, the poster is amazing, but you look at the decor we used to hire this hall. The decor used to be thematic. So when it was Jinns and Black Magic, there's a sisters team, the decor team, they used to put like weird trees and really scary looking kind of. Obviously we checked it with ulama, we didn't go all out, but very darkened and very black background and that kind of thing. Yeah, so the atmosphere, and when they used to enter, they just made some strange noises. It's very funny, but I mean, you have to be very careful how you do this, but it could become as cheesy. But that's what we used to do. When they come to the other event, Kabula, which is I accept, it was almost like a wedding theme. So the stage was like a wedding. When in Pakistani wedding they have a couple, bride and groom, and a very lavish kind of stage, and like a royal type of sofa, whatever. So red colors, bright colors, that kind of thing. When they came to, for example, fun theory, the fun theory event, we used to the brothers, mashallah, because they were non-practicing background and still they're bikers. They love their bikes. So 2 brothers brought their super bikes. One was a Harley Davidson type, another one's like a super bike. They brought it on the stage and they put these like lights and around it and the big massive band. So it really adds to the atmosphere rather than just being a speaker and nothing. So it's all it's all very creative. So guys, think creative, inshallah, as much as you can do, ability. Always have extensive Q&A. Q&A is very important. This day and age, the age of lectures is over almost. It has to be conversation. It has to be Q&A. So always allow Q&A in your sessions. Longer the better, inshallah. After the Q&A, always allow if the speaker or whoever to have one-to-one with the speaker. This is where you have the lecture, you have general Q&A where people ask in front of everyone. I've got a question publicly or through paper, and then you say, okay, the speaker is available for 20 minutes. There's 2 chairs on the side there. If you want to have any one-to-one questions, counseling, nasiya, private nasiya, that kind of thing. Always get in the habit of allowing that as well, inshallah. And lastly, when it comes to lectures and speakers, have speakers, if you can, or work towards building yourselves as humorous and energetic speakers. The younger, the better, or youthful, and has to be someone with a bit of power and panache. Because this is the day and age where speakers, you can have all sorts. I mean, so he has to be humor. At the beginning of the lecture, he has to win them over. He has to be humor because people like a laugh. And then he can be serious or whatever. So it has to have humor, has to have a lot of energy, inshallah. So that was just some tips on the events. And also just do, there's other stuff as well. If you can, with the youth, or like for example, we used to organize cricket games, football games, that kind of thing, sports related, hiking we do if you can. These are very important, inshallah. And where you can, at the beginning, also at the event, in the intro, I mean, this is just an example. The Merciful Servant channel, YouTube, I mean, they got phenomenal videos. I mean, just if you have a big screen, and you got the main event lecture, but in the beginning, you have the big. If you can get a big screen, multimedia, then play any of the Merciful Servant videos. For example, the one on Lord of the Throne, or for example, any spoken word or anything. It's just so powerful. The imagery, it's very high quality, and it creates a really good impression, especially if someone non-practicing has come in for the first time. So it's very, very powerful, mashallah. Okay, and if you can, and I know this may take some time, Japan, obviously we have access resources here, have a nasheed artist at the beginning of the event, or including in the event. So the ideal event, the perfect event is you have a lecture, 20, 25 minutes, you have a nasheed artist, you have spoken word, because people like spoken word kind of thing, you have the best pizza or unique pizza, and you also get to play a game of some sort. But again, this is your creativity, inshallah. Okay, so I'm going to stop there for now, because then the conversation is going on, and I would really recommend, if you found this beneficial, then I think we should definitely have a part 2, because there's a lot of other things I want to discuss as well. There's probably like another 45 minutes or 50 minutes. Yeah, so that's it for today so far, inshallah. Any questions from you guys?
Can I ask a question? It's quite long, but
sure, go ahead.
Yeah. I think most people in Japan, not only youth, they're like perfectionists. So they're like, do it or not do it at all. And we have casual gathering with young Muslims, like Gufran said before, inside and outside masjid. And I saw all of them like having a good time during the gathering. But after that, they personally contacted me and told me about their problems. Like they feel like they're not good enough and feeling guilty to join the gathering, like feeling uncomfortable with themselves. Even we never judge them. They judge themselves, and they started to not coming to the gathering. But alhamdulillah, they still keep in touch with me, and I always try to tell them about that feeling of struggling is actually a gift from Allah, and nobody's perfect. Everyone needs process and blah, blah, blah. And I also try to connect them with the teachers, and of course, pray to Allah to help them. But I'm also working all day as an engineer, and I only can answer their chats or calls during midnight. And I also feel overwhelmed to handle them. Maybe if you have any tips to handle this, I hope you can share with me. Thank you.
Okay, so what I've understood, sister, is basically you're saying that these people, they feel that they come to the event, they come to the lecture, they come to the workshops or whatever, they're very inspired, but then they seem to lapse, or they slip back into maybe sin or whatever. And then they say, look, well, you know what, I'm coming to the event and I keep going back to sin. Is there any point in me doing this? Because either I have to become fully practicing, or either I might as well stay in sin. Is that what you mean? Is that the kind of
yeah
you're asking? Okay, so yeah, this is somewhat a common thing. See, when someone says that to me, I always say with this, that the fact that you're consciously thinking about this, that you're actually worried about this, that I go to the event but then I go back to sin. So first of all, say, look, this is not unique to you. This is actually a common thing. So that makes them feel a bit, okay, they're not the only one, right? They're not alone in this journey. And some of us went through this as well, you know. I know brothers, that started practicing. They used to live a life of sin. They started practicing, and after many years, went back to life of sin. But then Allah guided them again. So this happens, subhanAllah. This is the kind of crazy age we're living in. But I compliment the fact that they are consciously thinking about this, because there's others who are not even thinking about this. They're happy doing it. You know, the cognitive dissonance, the hypocrisy. Yeah, nifaq is truly well settled in this day and age, subhanAllah. May Allah save us from this really horrible evil, subhanAllah. That's the worst. But the thing is, the fact that they're actually conscious about this shows that there's a strong iman. They have a flickering of iman. Is like the heart is, mashallah, flickering. It's strong. It's actually thinking about it. And because there's others that are completely happy with the situation, but you're actually worried about the situation. So you complimenting that and saying that's actually a very good thing is positive reinforcement. Secondly, they need to keep at it. It's just like the salah, like when you play salah and your mind wanders, and then shaitan says, "You look, is there any point you playing salah because you're always wondering?" No, the ulama say can't continue with praying salah. Increase it. If you're sujood and you're doing it for wrong reasons, make your sujood even longer. You got to pass certain certain journeys in your salah. So you got to keep this up. So one day what will happen, and I'm making the conversation a bit, I'm extending this discussion a bit more than just your question, is that, because subhanAllah, in UK and Islamabad, the situation is so severe now. Obviously I can't talk about Tokyo. Maybe you guys can tell me, inshallah. It's so severe now that people are just drowning in sin. It's unbelievable, and not just non-practicing but even practicing. So it's almost like hopeless situation because it's so overwhelming. So sometimes, and this obviously this may sound really strange and controversial, but sometimes it's so severe that people actually want to leave Islam because of this. Yeah. So I have to give advice, really weird advice, like and I have to say this very carefully. It's better that you continue keeping sin, although I'm not continuing that. It's better you continue keeping sin than absolutely leave Islam altogether. If you are praying salah 5 times a day and you're committing zina and you're drinking and you're saying, is there any point with salah? I said, yes, do both. Of course, I don't want you to sin, but if you can't stop it, don't stop the salah. Because if you continue praying salah, one day, inshallah, it's like a battle going on, salah and haram, and you're thinking, the shaitan's telling you, what's the point of you praying salah when you're doing this? You might as well stop the salah as well. No, that's the worst thing. Continue with the salah, continue working on that, because one day, inshallah, the salah will overcome the fahashiyat. As we know, there's narrations about salah is protecting you from fahashiyat. So it will overcome your sins, inshallah, one day. And this has happened to many others. It's happened to me and many other people. That because we didn't abandon salah, we were living 2 lives. Although we should live 1 life, 2 lives. But if you're going to keep up the evil side of your life, keep up the good side of your life as well. Yeah? So it's better you stay on the deen and keep going to these events, because one day, eventually, it will hit you. And what happens is the fitrah of everyone is different. Sometimes a lecture will not do it for someone. Sometimes you just need to experience something in your life, like death or someone of a close family. Or you see a certain video that randomly in the middle of the night, and this happens to brothers. I know brothers who've been guided when they went to lectures and nothing happened to them, and the most nicely organized event with all the creativity that I talked about, and amazing art, and they empathized, there's a lot of sympathy. It just did nothing for them. But they're in the middle of a club. In fact, let me give an example. Brother Hamza Zort is our ustad. When he talks about his life story, he said that obviously he was not Muslim. But one of the biggest things that opened his fitrah up, he went to a boat party, a boat party, and in London, and in there he saw a Muslim girl, Pakistani Muslim girl, and she was drinking, and Hamza was so hurt by that. He's a non-Muslim, and he took the drink off her, and he said, "What are you doing? This is haram." And she goes, "Oh, are you Muslim?" He goes, "No." She goes, "Why not?" I go, "Yeah, it's true. What am I doing? I'm doing all this, partying and everything, and I'm at the same time I know it's haram." So everyone will be. So I know brothers who've been guided that after all the lectures, nothing for them. They're in a club, they're raving, and they see something happens, and it clicks for them. So everyone has to wait for that big click moment, and that click moment will come if you keep up the khair. If you're going to do the sin, you keep up the khair as well, and inshallah one day that will overtake that. I don't know if that helps you, sister.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, alhamdulillah, may Allah accept the efforts. So, just a question for you guys. So, Japan, just to understand the situation, because I know every city, every country, every culture is different. In London, it's a severe point. In my town of Crawley, we have youth who are, so I don't know what the population is, but I can safely say, unfortunately, at least 80 to 90% of the youth are completely gone. Like either they're kind of about to leave Islam, or there's deep like sins. They're just drowning in sins. Drugs, zina, clubbing, partying, drinking, everything's happening. Everything, subhanAllah. The norm is that, and contrary to that, you see a very few individual youth who are praying, fully practicing. Very few. That's the situation in Crawley and London and the UK, as far as I've seen. And in Pakistan, it's about the same university as well. The majority of the youth are non-practicing. And it depends university, but in Islamabad, there's like 100 universities, I think. Oh, no, sorry, 100. That's exaggerating. There's about 30 odd universities, as far as I know. I went to every single one in 4 years, and out of 30 universities, at least 15 or 20, the majority are completely lost. They're sinning. They're not praying. They're drinking. Drugs have become rife. Zina has become rife. There's lesbianism. There's homosexuality, and beyond. Subhanallah, may Allah save us from fitna. That's the severity of what's going on, because I'm interactive with them. I'm always going to them. What's it like in your area then? What's the situation generally like, the Muslim youth? If anyone can give me some insights.
Well, I mean, it's a fairly young community, as in, the Muslims haven't really been here for such a long time as the case in the West. The parents' generation, they often give numbers like 90% or 80 or 70, something along the lines, saying that this percentage of the youth are away from the deen, or they're not really practicing, or they don't come to the masjid and whatnot. I mean, no one really knows what the reality is. But yeah, so the bottom line, we don't really know what the reality is. But in my experience, which is very limited, but in my experience, I do feel that we don't really, like in the English speaking world, we have Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and all these atheistic scholars of their kind. In Japan, we don't really have that yet, though we do have our own type of atheism, or own type of atheism mixed with other types of ideologies in Buddhism and Shintoism and whatnot. But we don't really have like a rational way that the people are kind of indoctrinated in to deny the existence of God, for example. So that's not there. So in most cases, I feel that they're and this was proven in my statistical study as well, that the main reason why they distance themselves from the deen is environmental issues, like they don't have Muslim friends, they're not connected to the masjid, or Muslims were engaging in not so positive things, or they were harassed by Muslims and whatnot. So it's more of an environmental issue than an intellectual one. So as far as I know, Allahu A'lam.
Okay, alhamdulillah, interesting. So one thing I would say then, brothers and sisters, is that maybe it's not so bad as other countries, but we should safely assume that it could be bad. We should assume that it could be coming at some point, because the world is going towards that way. We have atheists in Saudi Arabia. We have addictions in Saudi Arabia now, in Hijaz. I read a few messages. I'm not trying to exaggerate, or just, I don't like drama. But I've had, when you're involved in Dawah, you get questions all the time. My social media is for the sake of Dawah, so I get, messages on Instagram and Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, all the time from youth all over the world, subhanAllah. And I have a question from Makkah as well. I have a question from brothers and sisters from Makkah. I have, sisters who they have strong desire for other women, and that kind of thing, and they're about to commit, or they're about to do it, and that kind of thing. I've had brothers from Makkah say, I don't believe in Allah. I've read this book. So it's coming. Unfortunately, we have to assume that it's going to come to Japan at some point. So before it comes, let's have these positive activities that things like Youth Club does, so that you can ward it off, and you can be prepared for this if it happens or not. So that's number one. And so this is what I would advise as well, inshallah. And I think what Brother Sabur was saying is, and I think that's more for the non-Muslims Japanese, but could be applied for Muslim, is that there's not so much issue with intellectual, but it's more of a spiritual issue. Because materialism is well and truly set in. There's it has to be more spirituality and much more profound. Maybe tazkiyat al-nafs and disease of the heart, like one of the many products that we have in Pakistan. And by the way, please make a note of this. Youth club workshops, notes and slides are available for us to export. And I did say if one day, inshallah, if you come to Islamabad, maybe we'll give you ijaza in these workshops, inshallah. because that's what I'm going. I'm going on the 20th to do this, inshallah. So we have workshops, we have halakha notes. Like one of the series of halakas is called the spiritual cardiology. The reason why it's called spiritual cardiology, again, creativity, is because there's a college of medicine in Islamabad, and they wanted something halakha, but not the typical akida halakha, but more spiritual, more profound, more heart. So Ziabai called this halakha spiritual cardiology because the medics understand this word. So it's like a 3-month halakha once a week for an hour. We have notes, and it discusses the disease of the heart. It's based on Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah's work. It's phenomenal. Like the way he's got slides for this, and he's got notes. And one of the good things about Brother Raja Zia and other brothers is the relevancy. So they're always giving examples, up-to-date examples. So you'll be talking about a concept in Islam. So I'll give you one example. So there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that I'm going to paraphrase it, he who controls anger will have a seat or place in paradise, something to that effect, or gets a land or something. I can't remember. Maybe one of you can verify it, or I'll try and get the proper reference, inshallah. And Raja Zia, when he explained this, rather than just, and this is what lecturers do, they just explain it airy-fairy. He gives it relevance. He says, look, okay, guys, in Islamabad, which is the place or sector of Islamabad which is very rich and the land is very expensive? So they all go F10 or F7. No, it's E11. Oh yeah. So it creates a bit of discussion. He goes, okay, so let's say if I told you that I will give you the best mansion in E11, the most expensive property with all its cars inside it, with supercars, and it's yours completely, and all you need to do is never be angry in your life, or never never shout. Would you accept that deal? They're like, yeah, of course. Don't be angry and withhold your anger. Yeah, and you will give me that mansion. Perfect. He said, well, you know what? Jannah is far more valuable than that. Even just a strip of land. I mean, there's another narration which said that the dunya, it's the dunya, the earth, with everything in it, Las Vegas and Miami and Japan and all the natural beauty and the mountains and Everest and the whole planet Earth. The dunya is not even worth the wing of a mosquito fly. Yeah. So that's how worthless dunya is, and we want that land. Whereas Allah is promising you, if you withhold your anger, He will give you a land in paradise. So the way He makes it relevant, the examples, that kind of thing. So in almost every single example hadith, He will give you a dunya relevance, that kind of thing. So these all are available, and definitely you guys can learn this and then inshallah teach it. Whoever is a speaker amongst you, you should always try and build yourself as speakers. I don't know, Brother Amin, are you going to be going to public speaking, or, I mean, in terms of speakers, do you have access to speakers? How does it work there?
Well, in terms of public speaking, students of knowledge and whatnot, it's very limited in Japan. We don't really have a lot of, numbers of people that went to, did the traditional kind of ijaza in these Islamic universities or masjids and whatnot. So that's very, very limited. The number of students of knowledge is very, very limited. Others who are not necessarily students of knowledge, like myself, I do try to limit the things that I say. For example, I would try not to talk about Islam when I do public speaking. When I speak in front of people, even when it's like a one-on-one conversation, I try my best not to go into Islamic kind of topics for the fear that, because I'm not educated enough in that field. So that's happening. There's a few brothers who are not necessarily that educated in the deen, but might talk to people, and they do, mention some Islamic things that perhaps might be troubling in the future. So, and this is probably, is part of my next question. Perhaps I would have wanted to ask you as well. These tips that you become perhaps the people in the field of speaking, the field of kind of organizing the halaqah, and we're perhaps the ones that are giving them the talk and perhaps answering their questions and whatnot. Do you think that's a viable option for us, or should we try to limit ourselves and try our best to get the very limited resources we have of the students of knowledge in Japan?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, very good question. To answer it, I will give you our experiences, and that will answer your question. So look, Brother Raja Zialhaq, although before practicing, he was a theatre director, he said he never got public speech in his life. But what he saw, there's a gap in the market, meaning there are millions of students of knowledge in Pakistan. There are millions of shuyukh, millions of scholars, literally millions, right? 8-year dars, whatever, dars nizami or 8-year alamiya course. But when it comes to effective dawah to you, when it comes to relevancy, relatability, connect with them, there is no connection. The scholars and student knowledge have actually admitted to us youth club now that you guys are the bridge between the scholars, the knowledge, and the youth. You guys can do things that we can never do. So we act like a bridge for the youth, because look, eventually when we do our street dawah and the tips I gave and how to win them over and that kind of thing, obviously our knowledge is very limited. We only give a few bits and pieces here and there. When we won them over, then the objective is to attach them to scholars, attach them to courses, attach them to students' knowledge. That's when they start inshallah practicing. Yeah. So ours is entry level. Now the thing with Raja Zia, he saw this, and there's no English-speaking scholars or student knowledge in Pakistan Islam. It's all Urdu, and the youth are becoming English now. That was one of the things. So what he watched a series of videos of different scholars. I think he watched Bilal Phillips and other scholars. I think Fard Hashmi, who's a famous female scholar, and he just got their videos. He took notes, and literally all he did as he started. Look, that was 9 years ago. Now he's an accomplished speaker. He gives big workshops for 300-400 people, mashallah, and he will be going the world. And maybe we'll take it to Japan as well one day. Why not, inshallah? But he started in his living room with about 6 people, his family members and the maids and the people who work in his house, and a couple of neighbors, security guards. And he just gave halakha. He had his notes and he spoke. He said he kept doing that every week. The people kept increasing. The people from other streets start coming in. People from other areas start coming in. And it started from 6, 9, 15, 30, 50. It got bigger and bigger. Now he's in a bigger hall. So he says, I haven't got a bigger house because my living room is not big enough. So sister said, I've got a massive sitting room. It's almost like a hall. And he started doing there. At the same time, he kept seeking knowledge. And remember, we're not giving fatwa here. We're not teaching alamiya. We're not giving sharia. All we're doing is general nasiha. Everyone could say general nasiha. We are qualified to talk about Allah. Of course we are. Stick to what you know, but we are talking about Allah. But you don't need knowledge to say Allah is one, and you don't need knowledge to say we should love Allah. Yeah. So it's talking about the youth issues, and then the conclusion is all about Allah. That's the kind of thing. But he sought more and more knowledge, and the more knowledge he gave, the more you gave. He more shared. The best way to learn is to teach. So he did it in form of halakha. So this living room halakha idea, which you guys should do as well, it was phenomenal. That's what made YC. Now, if I give my example, I've always shied away from it for many reasons. I'm more of a street dawah store guy. But, so what happened? We used to have this big tour called Winds of Change. Winds of Change 2012, Hamza Zorzes and Adnan Rashid came, and they're accomplished speakers. And, we just followed them. We just put out the chairs, we put up the stage. And when they went, that's what we kept doing. We kept doing other scholars, other students' knowledge, other speakers we can get hold of, and give them a bit of briefing about what Youth Club does. And then they just talk about the topic they want to talk about, the love of the Prophet or Quran tafsir or whatever. So literally for us brothers Youth Club, apart from Raja Zia and all the rest, the 6, 7, 8, 9 brothers and the sisters, we used to just, promotion and event management and put the table up and put the chairs out, wherever we can. And every year we used to have Winds of Change tour, speak international speakers. But then in 2015, we realized that, if you want to become, because these speakers come and they go, and they're not always available. And we are Youth Club. If we truly want to give dawah, we need to speak ourselves. We need to rise to the occasion. We need to build ourselves. Yeah, we just step up basically. And alhamdulillah, Raja Zia gave us did public speaking skill, and I'm sure it's available in Japan as well. He did public speaking workshops with us personally for a good few months. He started telling us to go to halakas because, mashallah, we built a good base around Islamabad, Pindi. So Nadeem, you take over this area, halakha, and you just talk about. I remember my first serious halakha, 2013. was just biographies of the Sahaba. So I got a genuine biography of Sahaba. I took notes and I spoke about it to teenage kids. That's it. And of course I made mistakes, and of course I wasn't articulate, and of course I was nervous, and of course this. But the more I did it, the better you become. The more easy it becomes. The more knowledge you seek. You benefit more, by the way. You gain the knowledge. You benefit more, subhanAllah, when you're speaking. It's unbelievable if you're sincere for the sake of Allah and not for fame. But so this, and then Brother Taha now, he's an accomplished speaker now. Brother Ali, Brother Ishaq from Karachi. We've got 3-4 brothers in Lahore. They are very, very good speakers now. They're very confident now. If you look at them 4 years ago, you could tell that their speaking wasn't as good. But now, by keep at it, alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed them. And now we have we've created our own speakers panel, mashallah. And now after we used to rely on international speakers, now we don't need them. We are now going to these people because we're here in Pakistan, when I was in Pakistan. We're here, we're speaking. So I guess if you truly want to, the very fact that you're doing this session and that you're concerned about the Muslim youth, that concern has to turn into you actually speaking as well. Slowly, no rush, take your time. I mean, I also I've got another presentation. I've got a few presentations which is called confidence, how to be super confident. I can give you tips on that as well, inshallah, another time. But I really advise you, brothers and sisters, to start speaking, inshallah. Prepare. There's lots of resources now. Back in 20 years ago, it was very hard. You have to go travel, so you get knowledge. The scholar, is hard to go there, or Medina. But now, because of resources, internet, it's easy to learn. There's so many options now. And just learn and convey. But convey in a non-traditional way. Don't be traditional, boring. Like be creative. Talk about the issues of the youth, that kind of thing, what they want. And I think, I would really encourage Brother Amin and others, to adopt this YC style if it's for Muslim youth, your market, and start halakas, living halakas, and build on that, inshallah, and then build yourself to the workshops. And then if you're sincere, then Allah will open up ways for you.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, brother. I think you gotta get going for your Jummah as well. And but really, I just want to say that, a huge thank you. It was an amazing session. I learned a lot.
Allah
I'm sure others have as well. I mean, may Allah accept it from you and us. So I'm definitely up for a second session if you're okay, and if others who were present in this session, if they're up for it, they can perhaps join as well, and maybe perhaps others as well. I have a lot of more questions, a lot of things I want to discuss with you, but inshallah I'll keep it for next time, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. So for now, study the Youth Club Facebook page, and they got a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is not as active as the Facebook page, and from there you can get insights of how they work, the posters, the thinking behind it, the concept behind it, inshallah. Okay, jazakallah khair. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. And I'll see you guys very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.
Jazakallah khair.
Thank you.